more screw-ups. I've been collecting taxes in regions that have the famine. I've been collecting the grain. That makes sense. Famine wouldn't have food. But, there's no reason for this. The rules are very clear about this. I don't know why. I'm beginning to question my capability to play anything anymore. I've always made a few mistakes in games, but for some reason, I just feel like I'm going downhill further and further and faster. In terms of, maybe personal situations, just inability to focus on them as much as I used to. But I don't know. Anyway, let's kick off the next turn. Initial roll for enemies is a 3. 3 here and here are both covered. And now my memory tells me as long as there are troops somewhere, even if it's, well, this would be enough to cover the strength anyway, nothing shows up. I feel like I have to look that up because memory is not working very well. And then they move, let's see if I can remember. It seems like it's one space, but again, my bloody brain is obviously not good enough. I don't know. I don't know. One space, yeah. Okay, so this goes from 3 to 4. This one already went. That's it. Okay. The grain, we get our famine. We'll try to do the taxes correctly this time. That becomes important because the emperor has the capacity to buy off your grain, to buy off a famine. It's going to be region 3. Now, so like grain takes a big hit here, right? In terms of grain that we produce, I don't remember, 4 3s is 12, 18 is the base, minus 3 sounds like 15, which is a pretty good year. Where'd the emperor go? There it goes. And that gets us to our pile of cards. Enemy camp. Roll dice for a province and a region. Okay, province will be the 4-sided dice, 6 will be that. We re-roll both dice if there's any forces in the place. So this could take some effort. Province 4, region 1, or thingy 1, I don't know, 4-1. That's going to be here. Now, we don't know exactly what these do. I've read it, but no way I'd remember that. I wouldn't expect to. It has 5 strength. It counts as an enemy that can't move. It doesn't produce coins or grain. And that's another, yeah, I've been doing these not producing. Each time a new enemy is placed in a region, what's region? Region is the whole area, so that'll create more troops whenever anything's in that region. And it can only be destroyed with enough troops, or player points with enough points. I assume that includes using a card. You get a victory point for this, and it'll create a happiness. This doesn't take any happiness away when it happens. Okay. Hey, let's do it again. Maybe I didn't shuffle all that well. I did 7 or 8 riffs and some overhand too. 3, 5. 3, 5. Enemy movement. Move all the swords closer to the capital. Not good. These guys would come into here, but they're not big enough, so they do not. Dilemma. Choose one. The Emperor gets a victory point, and the other players each get a pile of money. Or the Emperor gets a pile of money, and the other players each get a victory point. Ooh. Okay. Let's look at the Emperor here. If he has 50 money or more, he's going to get 2 victory points. If he's the richest, he gets a victory point. I'm going to take the victory point. I think. I don't know. It's $30. Oh, Jesus. I mean, I'm basically giving up a victory point on everyone else, I think, no matter what I do. So I will take the cash. There's 40 for 10. And give a victory point to each other player. It's easier. Grain shortage, 4 grain. Go away. And one last forum card. Nobody did an assassination. Okay. Dunno. Move X from your used to your unused. Okay, so you can expend an unused stamina to get a bunch of used ones back, and this is a great turn for that. The only problem is it takes an action to do, and we only have so many actions, which we're coming up to. Well, let me think about what the Emperor wants to do. He probably wants to do this for his first action because he doesn't have a lot of stamina left. He'd rather not take the negative victory point. So let's do that. I get 4 back. That gives me 2 more actions. Oh, doesn't look to me like I can kill anything easily with my legions. However, my leader could go get a victory point there. So we will do a movement action. And I am at +2 movement. That gives me like 5 movement. Wow. One, two, 3, 4. Just wondering if I could get both. Other people aren't going to be as fast. I'll just take the 1, 2. I wipe these out. I gotta remember that's 2. I create a happiness. I get 2 dice. $6. Make it 10. I got 2 more moves. Where are my troops? My capitals are up here. I'll go up there. Okay. That was my second action. Let's try to remember that there. And other people can move. White has 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally you get to move 3 spaces. It looks worth it, especially since he doesn't want swords around. So we will make a happiness. $7. Okay. And does he want to do one? Well, there's not a lot of value to moving at this point. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. He could have killed this. Right? He has a strength of, yeah, I forgot all about that. Let's see. He has a strength of plus 2, 4. I would need at least 2 more. Instead of moving into here, if I moved into here, I could play this card, which I don't really care about. And I could kill this as well. That increased happiness. Let me get a victory point for that. And I think that's all I get. Can't remember. I don't think I get any dice. I don't see any little dice symbols, so I'm assuming the answer is no. And that's how I make some of my mistakes, is I make assumptions about how the rules are going to show up. Here I think I'm right, but, you know, in other cases, I don't read things carefully every single time. I expect things to flow into me, and if my expectations are false, that's a problem. Now, did this guy want to go where he did? He did not have much strength. He would have to play a card, which isn't necessarily bad. However, he wants to get rid of swords. This is not a sword, from what I can tell. So he would just do that. What about him? Does he want to do this? And remember, he's at 2 actions. He's got a very long walk to get over to here if he wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4. He doesn't have that much movement. He'll hold off because I don't think he's going to be able to get there. Okay. And one more action here. What is that one more action? Well, I want money. There's a famine here. I'm going to not be able to do what I want to do. Because if I build an aqueduct, it goes on the building chart. And I have no guarantees I can get that out there. I could buy the emperorship, definitely not worthwhile. I could build troops, since it's not going to matter. I don't have something to do. If I had an extra action, I could murder this and then, I don't know, maybe gain something out of that. This would get me points and monies and stuff. But again, I have to worry about that. I'm having trouble coming up with anything I could do. I can't even buy a senator. I could assassinate a senator and that gets me the lead. That's probably the best I can do. It probably isn't possible. And I'm spending $5 for it. But that gives it to white. White says, I don't want that to happen. I didn't think about this card. This, if I have the senator thing, I don't need that. And swap the places of these is totally useless. Let me play this card for 3, knowing he doesn't have any cards whatsoever. And so now I need a 5 to succeed. Do I want that to even allow? Or is another card? Because this is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game, plus any potential effects. Let's just make it so he can't. He needs a 7 to do it. I'm allowed to play more than 1 plot card. That cannot be repeated. So now we come down to him. He only gets 2 actions. He's almost dead. That's a victory point if he dies. Well, this is the point in the game, and with most games, where you can start to calculate out, just how much a move is worth. I hate doing that. I really do. He doesn't have much he can gain off of this. He's got nothing additional he can build there. He could kill the emperor. What would that do? Well, The emperor's worth something. There's no question of that. I have the most important senator. Killing the emperor sounds like a good plan. We don't know if we want to die or take the next action, but we're going to try to kill the emperor. I don't have anything I want to build, so I'm going to play this. That gives me +3 on the dice. I got to spend some money. Maybe he shouldn't have done that assassination. Okay. 6. The emperor is dead. Okay, that does a few things. First thing is we find the death rules. Okay. Death of the player, he will be getting a negative victory point, which will just take one off. No reason to do the other thing. His staminas all go back, and the emperorship is up. Now, it doesn't go for bid. It goes to the rightmost senator. Problem with this, that's this. So he just lost his lead in the senatorship to become emperor. Now, he gets another action. What was this? I don't know where the fuck this was. Shit. If it was on the emperor chart, it should have made it into the used pile. Okay. And these things slide all over the place because I moved them. Okay. So now, I've used one action. I have 2 remaining. I could grab 3 more stamina, which would allow me to use that extra action without dying. That seems like the next best move. And now, I think I want the senator back, because money's not that important to me. So I'll buy that for 10. It's worth a couple victory points. Everybody else could buy a senator, but there's no space for one. So no problem. And that means run him. Now he wants to get his monuments out. He's got them all showing up. That's good. My plot gives me a plus. That would be for an assassination. Assassinating one senator doesn't do me any good. Assassinating the emperor would get rid of a victory point from him, but doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Unfortunately, I'm going to get all these late, and I don't know. I mean, they'll do me some good. I'll get some cash, and cash is worth victory points. So what would I want to do? Well, assassinating the emperor is easier. If I can do it twice, I can run through 2 characters. That's not entirely unreasonable. Alternatively, assassinating senators is a little cheaper. But assassinating the emperor gets rid of the senator. So with him, I'd only need a 2. He's out of cards, I know that. All right. Let's assassinate. That gives me +1 to the pip, because I'm using that thing. I don't know why anybody was using the regular assassination. This actually doesn't even have a cost. Damn. Missed that. So yeah, so my die roll is +1. That will automatically kill him. He has no cards, nothing that can help him. So he loses a victory point. These go back. He loses the senator in order to become We're all here, so let's go back to, not that it matters. Okay, he loses a senator, and now if I'd done senators first, let's do that again. It's worth 2 victory points to succeed at this. Is that the best I can do? I don't know, maybe. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Why did I do the first one? Good question. Well, the second one, I want to kill a senator. So, spend 5. What does my agenda card do? We'll make it +3. We automatically kill this senator. And now we got our 2 victory points. That used both our actions. So that's all we have. Ow, my eye. Place buildings. Lead senator could swap them. Doesn't make much difference, but let's swap them. Doesn't make any difference, actually. Let's do these. First, I get a victory point. Yay, we'll need a 5. Okay. All right. Second, I think I get double income from my villas. Yep, 10 coins instead of 5 from each estate that I get. And I'm not in any famines, so that's good. And the third, I get $30. Which is a victory point, you know. What the hell. And that goes the last to him. He will be taking 2 stamina away from each other player. This is a victory point. I'll give him a minus just to really confuse me. And these all move up. This is in play too. Could have calculated that out, seen what was going to happen. Such is life. Distribute the food. Who's the emperor? What does he want? The emperor is sitting here with only 11 food. Looks to me like we've got one area that I don't collect food for, or that I don't have to feed, which means I need 24 food. As long as I feed everyone, I'll be getting 5 victory points. So that's probably worth doing, but food is expensive. So 14 times 3 is $42. It's expensive to be the emperor, isn't it? Okay, well, now we can do some math. I hate this part of games. And this is why, you know, your common sort of Euros where there's victory points or whatever, well, often there's a calculation at the end of the game that you can make. And I mean, you can do it in things like History of the World, too. Ameritrash tends to have it some of the times, too. But games that don't have sort of a clear singular victory condition, and now some war games have victory point conditions, etc., as well. So you can calculate out, ooh, I can make marginal victory. But the difference is with a war game, you're tightly coupled with the reality. So you know what? Counting the victory points is generally just sort of a formality. If you can't tell who's doing better by the historical situation comparison, or, you know, then you're kind of missing the point of the type of game. But something like this, points are what it is, you know? So it comes down to something, you know, you could look at Yahtzee and try to figure out, you could figure out the probabilities of rolling different things and what your possibility is of beating someone if you get a certain type of roll or another. And you could do that kind of math. Here, it's a little bit simpler, but it's a little harder than most of the Euros, because what I have to do, and not the heavier ones, some of the heavier ones are really painful. What I have to do here is figure out what each food layer is going to cost me. So 42 food, if I don't buy, or $42, if I don't buy one of those, if I pay $39, okay, so for $3, I get a victory point. Obviously, I want to pay all 42. If I'm going to drop, down to here, but the next level down isn't 1 down. It's actually 3 down. So it's $9 for a victory point. That sounds pretty good. The next victory point down is also $9. I think I'm going to pay the 42. It looks to me like it is the best move to do. And luckily I have tons of money. Now, the difference of the 42, I might not go back that. I'm going to put that 5 victory points here just to remind me. It's possible the Emperor could be dead by the end of the game. We'll see what the ordering is. Collect taxes. Okay, let's do it correctly this time. First of all, the Emperor would be getting $25, make it 24, minus a famine. I guess there's 6 areas, make it $18. For the players, green is screwed, so they only get 2 of theirs. Now, do they have any special rules? I thought they were getting double money at some point or another. So they get $10. Okay. White. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing special. He gets his $20. And finally, over here, black. Black is got doubled income, which could be really cool if he had the more money card. He only has 3 of his, however, which would go to 15. He gets $30. Make that 40. Give him the big coin that's left. All right. End of year. End of year is one of those complicated things I always have to look up. I'm never sure what it says. That's end of game. Okay. End of year. We have to do this in order. The game's not over. I've been forgetting to give people plot cards now. Remember one thing, forget another damn thing. Well, let's see. What was his? I mean, he would have had a +4, right? He could have defended himself. Well, screw it. I mean, I just can't. I can't recover those cards. Fuck it. I've made so many mistakes. There's only so much I can deal with. And I don't know what could help me here. It's a complex sequence. It looks like it's got a nice little simple set of phases. Those simple phases are not as easy as they look on there. I'm used to, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Player actions. Sounds like I do my actions. How do I forget this when I've done it every time? Well, because I walk away each time. I don't know. It also is harder when you're playing something solo to remember all the steps. But I got to tell you, when I play games like this opposed, quite often we have we haven't been doing that. Or fairly often, did you remember to do that? No. Oh, what are we going to do now? That kind of situation. So when there's a lot of piddly stuff, even when there's more reminder than there is here, like a player aid that fully steps things out, is there one? I bet you there is. Nope. Nope. It's a little bit more than this here. Would be helpful if everything was on here because it's on the board, but whatever. It's more attractive not to have the information, I guess. And therefore, how much did I forget of this? Well, not really. Provinces and thing can generate tax income. I can remember that. What I can't remember is the exceptional cases. So even the player aid card doesn't contain the information I would have needed had I known it. Had I remembered to use it, which I never would. Okay. Enough grousing, right? So the Emperor gets his victory points. So he gets his victory points before, no. Because this doesn't include the advanced rules. Now again, integration of advanced rules should always be in the sequence of play, wherever the sequence of play is. Unfortunately here, it's scattered throughout the rules. It's either this really minimal section here or almost as minimal here, or you have to pace through the rules. Now, how much, between those could you still get and give somebody useful? I don't know. It might require a sheet that would apply to, like a coin game sequence of play or something like that, which seems like overkill on, I don't know, it's 20 pages of rules, man. If I have to flip through 20 pages of rules to get the sequence of play, there's a problem, right? If it's a sequence of play like Carcassonne, maybe. Although, once you start adding expansions, it gets to be ridiculous there, too. Okay, where the hell am I? So this actually takes place before that gets assigned. It's the first thing that happens, which means -2 happiness. Okay, I screwed up. I shouldn't have paid everything if I had been paying attention, but fuck that too. Right? Okay. Because I only get now 4 victory points, not the 5 that I had scheduled. I don't have any here. So there they go. And yeah, I mean, if I had been paying attention to everything, but that's a hard thing to do. It really is. Quite often, I find myself, and I find it very frustrating. I find myself in a game where I'm like, oh, I did all this fucking calculation, and I could have saved myself $6, which might be important. It turns out it's not. It's not a 20-point barrier, but when you've got that much that's calculable, it's just fucking frustrating when you make an error because you didn't do arithmetic. You didn't take everything into account for the arithmetic. It's like missing an odds chart by a couple of strength points. When they clearly would have been available, you could have done it. It's just, geez, that's stupid, And it's very, very annoying when you find yourself making those kind of errors. Because it's like, this isn't the thing I want to train myself to do well in games in, particularly. I don't want to particularly be good at hunting down all the pieces on the board. And it can cause a serious problem that's kind of like analysis paralysis. It's not. It's information gathering, where you have to look at every fucking little piece in the game to understand whether or not you're doing things right. In terms of you're operating the system to your maximal effect. That does not please me. Now, some of that comes down to familiarity. I could see that being very, very painful with certain war games that I find very easy to do. And likewise, some Eurogamers are going to find this much, much easier. Just being able to keep track of, oh yeah, I remember that's there. I'm used to counters being reminders everywhere. Something I'm not used to from my background terribly much. So it's kind of a bullshit complaint. It's just one that if you're someone like me, you're going to face. Now I'm looking for this again. Okay. So. Victory points from forum and plot cards are distributed. Well, I don't see any from plot cards because everybody lost their plot cards. Unless I'm mistaking something. I guess you could play out plot cards. Oh, did we finish the turn? Maybe not. Remove a famine. Yeah, there's nothing important. Okay. So now we do the victory points. Rightmost in the Senate gets 2 points. And that is actually black. There's one. Get rid of that before it confuses me. Any extra victory points from forum and plot cards are distributed. Did any of these give victory points? I probably, yeah. So these have victory points on them. I gave them out at the time when they happened. That seemed reasonable. I certainly wouldn't want to hunt them down at the end of the game. That seems stupid. Victory point for every 20 coins they have. Well, I want to do that last because I have to assess the hidden agenda cards, one of which is that. So does he have 50 gold or more? Yes, he gets 2 victory points for that. Is he the richest player? I don't know. 80, 120, 140. More than him, more than him. Yes, so he gets 1 more victory point for that. He is not the poorest player, so he's fine. Let's assess this one. Per region that's free of swords. Now that's region, not province. There are only 4 regions, so I get 4 victory points. And all regions are free of swords. This is not a sword, so I do not get a penalty there. That's only if no region. Him. If you've placed all your things on the player mat. Yep. So that's 2 victory points. If you have a minimum of 2 senators. Yep. He's got that. That's another victory point. And his penalty would be if he failed to get any of these out. All right, so we did the hidden agendas. Now let's cash in the money. And it's per 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victory points. That gets him 10. He's got 3. And we see where this is going. And he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So very clearly, this guy took the lead. He's got 16. We got 11 and 13. It's not incredibly far apart. And I got to tell you, while it seemed like, hey, collecting money was great because he had the money hidden agenda, yes, but my errors in generating too much money when there were famines, and you can see, this would have been another, another $10, which wouldn't have mattered. But again, it's the money accumulates fairly quickly, and that could well be the difference between him and that next place. So I would say this feels pretty damn close. What about my other cheating? Well, hurting the Emperor, he ended up not doing too badly, but I did hurt the Emperor early in the game by a couple of ways. A rules error, as well as an error in terms of understanding what my best usage of play was. So I'm tempted to say, if anybody got an advantage, but it's hard to tell. So one of the things you've got is these hidden agenda cards, which creates sort of a hidden unbalancing effect that might be present. It may be very easy to get 3 victory points on this. It may not be in all games, though. If there's a lot of fighting over the Senate, you might not be able to get your positions there. But remember, he didn't worry about these until late in the game and still was able to score all his points. Over here, he also got his 3 points without much trouble. He managed to get a 4th point. So this card is potentially more valuable than these other 2 cards, and it was in actuality. Did that matter? Not terribly, because he didn't do very well. Why didn't he do very well? I'm not sure. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see. I felt like he was very clever. Got a geographical location that he centered his forces in, put himself in that location to help defend them. Really, if there's anyone I felt was doing the right stuff, it was him, but he came in last. And although he had a bonus due to maybe the money, he had a penalty due to the misplay of the Emperor early in the game. What might be an issue? Well, being the heir meant diddly squat because he lost it. He lost it to an event card early in the game. Anyway. I guess that's all I have to say in the wrap up. I'll come back with a review of the game itself, as much as I can give it, given, misplaying it. What do you expect? This is me. Yeah, I know, but whatever. Yeah. All right, so let's send this up.